You tell someone your deepest insecurity. They listen. They comfort you. They make you feel understood, so you trust them. Then, months later, during an argument, they use that exact insecurity against you. And suddenly, you realize something disturbing. They didn't just know what hurt you, they knew exactly where to hurt you. That's the idea behind the term dark empath. Now, dark empath isn't a formal psychological diagnosis or an officially recognized personality type. It's a popular term used to describe someone who may understand other people's emotions very well, while also using that understanding for manipulation, control, or personal advantage. And that's what makes the behavior so difficult to recognize, because they may not look like the villain. 1. They make you feel unusually understood. At first, they can feel almost addictive to be around. They notice when your mood changes. They remember things you mentioned weeks ago. They can tell when you're pretending to be okay. And you think, finally, someone actually gets me. But there's an important difference between understanding someone and caring about them. A healthy person uses what they know about you to make you feel safer. A manipulative person may use the same information to figure out how to influence you. The information isn't the dangerous part. What they do with it is. 2. They learn your emotional patterns. Everyone has emotional triggers. Maybe you hate disappointing people. Maybe rejection scares you. Maybe you constantly worry about being abandoned. A socially perceptive person can notice these patterns very quickly, and that's not automatically bad. The problem begins when someone starts using those patterns strategically. They know you'll feel guilty, so they make you feel guilty. They know you'll panic when someone pulls away, so they threaten to leave. They know you hate conflict, so they use silence until you give in. Suddenly, your emotions aren't just being understood, they're being used as leverage. 3. They can make manipulation feel like your own decision. This is one of the harder signs to notice. They don't always say, do this. Instead, they might say, I just thought you cared about me. Or, you can do whatever you want, I just didn't expect this from you. Technically, they didn't tell you what to do, but now you're uncomfortable. You're guilty. You're questioning your decision. And eventually, you do what they wanted. That's how subtle manipulation works. It doesn't always control your actions directly. Sometimes it controls the emotional consequences of saying no. 4. They remember your weaknesses better than your boundaries. Imagine you tell someone, I don't like being spoken to like that. A healthy person might disagree with you, but they'll still understand the boundary. A manipulative person may test it. They push a little. You say no. They push again. Then they become disappointed, angry, or emotionally distant. Eventually, you give in just to restore peace. And they've learned something. Pressure works on you. That's why one of the most revealing things about a person isn't how they treat you when you agree with them. It's how they treat you when you say no. 5. Everyone else may think they're amazing. This is where things get confusing. They can be charming, funny, helpful, extremely empathetic in public. People might describe them as one of the nicest people they've ever met. Meanwhile, your private experience feels completely different. You're constantly second-guessing yourself. You feel guilty after conversations. You rehearse what you're going to say before bringing up a problem. You feel responsible for keeping them happy. And because everyone else loves them, you start thinking, maybe I'm the problem. But someone's public personality doesn't automatically tell you how they behave behind closed doors. Look at patterns, not performances. 6. They slowly make you doubt yourself. This is where manipulation can become especially damaging. You replay conversations. You wonder if you overreacted. You apologize even when you're not sure what you did wrong. You start asking other people what they think before trusting your own judgment. And slowly, their interpretation of events becomes louder than your own. That's why you shouldn't obsess over whether someone fits the label dark empath. The label isn't what matters. The pattern is. If someone repeatedly makes you doubt your memory, your boundaries, your feelings, or your ability to make decisions, that's worth taking seriously. 7. Their empathy has a direction. This may be the biggest difference. Someone can be incredibly good at reading emotions. They can know when you're scared. They can know what makes you feel valued. They can know exactly what you're afraid of losing. But emotional intelligence itself doesn't determine someone's character. Character determines what they do with that knowledge. Think about it. Two people can understand your insecurity. One says, "I know this is difficult for you. How can I help?" The other thinks, "I know exactly what will make them do what I want." Same information, completely different intention. That's why the most important question isn't, "Can this person read me?" It's, "What do they do with what they know about me?" Because real empathy isn't just understanding someone's emotions, it's caring enough not to weaponize them. And you don't need to diagnose someone. You don't need to prove they're a narcissist. You don't need to convince everyone else that they're manipulative. If their behavior repeatedly leaves you feeling confused, guilty, controlled, or afraid to say no, you're allowed to step back. You don't need a psychological label to protect yourself, because the safest people aren't necessarily the ones who understand you perfectly. They're the ones who know your weaknesses and choose to protect them.